Yo, Aaron here. In this video, we're going to be looking at the guitar solo to Reapers and more specifically how to pull off those pitch shifting effects such as well as, while researching for this video, some of the interesting things I noticed about the live footage. Did you see what it was? But first, before we can execute this guitar wizardry exactly as Matt does, we need to look at those all-important pedal settings. So as you can see, I'm using the Boss GT1000 floorboard, but you can get similar effects, I'm sure, from the Line 6 Helix or the Kemper or any of those kind of units, okay? And I'll explain why the Digitech Whammy sort of can do this, but sort of can't. But anyway, the two settings I've got are Reaper High, which is this one here, and Reaper Low on a separate patch. On Reaper High, whenever I press my foot down, I get the octave up. And whenever I'm on Reaper Low, whenever I press my foot down, I get the octave below. Now, if you already own a Digitech Whammy or you're familiar with it, you'll understand that you can't have separate patches on the whammy. You actually have to lean down to the dial and change the setting. So if you want to do it exactly as Matt does it and you don't want the hassle of leaning down to your whammy, then I would suggest a floor unit such as this. I know they're kind of expensive, but at least if you've got this video, you know kind of what to aim for and that sort of thing. Also, there are ways of playing it with the whammy where you just only have what I call the Reaper's High setting with the octave up, so you can figure out a different way of playing it. But we're going to focus on the way Matt does it. Okay, let's get into it. Before you attempt to play any part of this song, just make sure that you're in drop D tuning. If you're not sure what that is, I'll pop a link in the description box. So the opening part of the song sounds like this. We are currently on the Reaper's High setting, all right? So my foot is fully pressed forward. And then what I do to get that sound, when I'm one octave up, I pick behind the nut. And then I bring the pedal back. Did you hear that? And it's as easy as that. All you've got to make sure is that when you're picking behind the nut, make sure you've got a fair amount of distortion so it sustains, but make sure that this hand is not touching the strings or else you'll get a really dead sound. But live, this is quite interesting to watch because you can clearly see Matt scraping behind the nut and you can hear that kind of descending in pitch, but I think something's been triggered backstage because he's not anywhere near his pedal board, and that happens a couple of times throughout this solo, as you will soon see. On to the next part. The next part where the whammy features is when he plays this phrase. Now, what he's doing is fairly simple in terms of the left hand movement, okay? You've got your first finger on the 11th of the A string and your third then goes to the 13th of the G, like this. But then it goes up an octave, right? And you guessed it, that's just the whammy pedal kicking in, going up an octave, all right? Still on that Reaper's High setting. What you could have done is if you wanted to get that note without the pedal, you could extend to the 16th of the high E, like so. But it doesn't have quite the same, because you don't get that scoop into the pitch, which is very reminiscent of Muse. But again, if you watch this live, you'll clearly see that he's actually nowhere near his pedal board. Have a look at this footage. The next cool thing that Matt does in this solo sounds like this. Now, the right hand is going to do a pick scrape. Now, I'm using the very side of my pick, so it might involve changing the hand position. Normally I'll be playing like this, but I kind of change my hand position to accommodate for the pick scrape. Okay, and I'm kind of scraping around the same spot really, like this, scraping quite violently. And you want that ascending of pitch as well. Listen as you go this way towards the bridge, how you get that raise of pitch. all right? And then on top of that, you're also bringing the pedal up an octave again, like so. And you've really got to watch the speed of those pedal presses as well. You don't want to be going up too quickly. You want to be nice and gradual. Da 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 da. You know, kind of count in your head and see if you can find a rhythm for it. It is tricky. The left hand, as we'll see on the live footage in just a second, is going like this. But I can't really figure out what that's doing because the right hand is doing the pick scrape, so the left hand doesn't really do anything. It makes no difference. If we take this hand away, I mean, it's doing a bit of muting, so we heard a bit of string noise there, but that's about it. I think this whole going up the neck is just more for an effect and the kind of artistry of playing the guitar and looking flamboyant on stage and that kind of thing. But if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. And then he finishes, when he's at the top of the pedal here, he then hits harmonics around the 5th fret on the D, A and high D strings, and then releases that octave. If you can get it up to full speed, 2, 3, 4. Almost there. Let's have a look at how he does it live though. Here's a nice close-up of his hands. Immediately after that, we get to those sextuplet phrases which sound like this. And it's that high bit that I'm talking about. They're the sextuplets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But except he's got the whammy on. And he plays all of that with the pedal up an octave, and then towards the end of the first bit, he releases the octave and just goes to normal like this. Did you hear when the pedal was released? Now, in terms of doing this live, I couldn't actually find any footage that looks at where his foot is, but you can quite clearly hear that the effect of the whammy, the effect of the pitch shifter is on. So it's pretty obvious if you just use your ears. Then we get to the part where it all changes. So this time we've switched across to the Reaper's low setting. So now every time I put my foot forward, we are going an octave down instead. Now, there are definitely other ways of doing this with just the octave up, because I appreciate not everyone's got the equipment to have 2 separate patches. But again, if you refer to the live footage, did you notice how every time the pitch went down, his foot was going forward? So that means he definitely has some kind of separate patch. So basically, on the first note of the phrase, you could call that the first 2 notes of the phrase. One of them is me picking the string, the other one is my foot going forwards. And then we have that phrase in between, which is done with the foot in the neutral position. Then we repeat that same thing with the left hand, but we go back to our Reaper's high setting. So this time, again, we are back to where we have an octave when the foot goes forward. So let's just test that. But we start with the foot forward, okay, and we're tremolo picking the whole thing, and we're using our foot to release the octave back to its neutral position. And there we have it. And let's take a look at how he does that live. can see live that he's clearly putting his foot forward to get the octave above and then releasing his foot to get back to normal. My name's Aaron, thank you for watching this video, and I'll speak to you again soon. Any questions, whack a comment in the comments section. Bye-bye.